What's up? Today I'm going to save a lot of your time and your money by revealing all of my mistakes that I made as a beginner, that I made as intermediate, that I'm still making sometimes, and so that you can learn from them. First one is I did not know how to work. And I want to show you something. This here is a kitchen timer. And what this does basically is it shows me exactly how productive I was at the end of each day. Because whenever I, go out of my room, if someone comes in and I get a text message, I click pause, right? I pause it, and then when I get back to actually productively working, I just, press the button again and it keeps counting up basically. And then at the end of each day, I know how much I worked. And let me tell you this, for the first time when I did it, it was a lot different than I would have expected, because when you think you work 8 hours a day and you do not do this, right? You do not track your work, how much you actually are productive, then you will that was a crazy moment for me when I did this for the first time, because it was probably 60 or 50% of what I thought I was working. Right? But now I know. Now I actually know, and I can optimize for more productive work. And I can know, okay, I have to change my environment or I have to design my environment in a way of I don't get distracted that easily. I'm in the zone, I'm in the focus, deep focus mode for 2-3 hour blocks. Then I take a break, actively make myself take breaks, even if I don't have to or want to, right? And then I keep going. And I found that to be the best productive thing for me. And this thing is a life changer. I've seen this in one of the Alex Hormozi videos. I've got this, and this is probably the highest ROI investment that you can get. Now I'm going to show it to you again. All right. It's basically not really a dropshipping mistake. It's a business mistake or a productivity mistake in general. People just tend to not know what work even means, right? And how working even works, right? It's kind of the same thing. In school, they don't teach you how to learn. And in dropshipping, guru, business, YouTube, they don't teach you how to work. And so I kind of want to change that. I want to teach you. And so you have to always plan out your day as well, right? So for example, for me personally, when it comes to time management, when it comes to how I work, I sit down the previous day at the end of each day and I plan out my next day, and I know exactly what am I going to do, right? I'm never asked myself in front of the computer, what's next, right? And then I hop on Netflix or Insta Reels because I don't know what to do basically, or I have so much shit on my to-do list that I, don't know where to start and waste time thinking about where to start. So timing your day, planning out your day in very small tasks, even 15-minute blocks, right, is a life changer. It's a game-changing thing. And use every tool that you have. Use your Google Calendar, it's for free. If you have some software that is helping you. However, I want to say one thing, you don't lack software inputs, right? You just lack the discipline to actually keep going, because you could plan out your day on a piece of paper, right? You don't have to necessarily plan out your day with a calendar, with the software, right? And then please don't think that, I can't work, I can't do this business, can't get into dropshipping because I don't have the newest productivity software that everyone else is advertising on YouTube, or I don't have a kitchen timer. This is just a nice to have, all right? You don't need this to be productive. I'm just saying, once you have some momentum and you're optimizing, then it's a very good idea, right? It's not a good idea if you are starting out and you're just looking for a bunch of investments that you can make to make your life easier. The best thing that you can do if you're at a very beginning stage is just start. Just do something. Right? It's the same in the gym. In the gym, you don't have to, buy a bunch of accessories and just completely max out everything and optimize your every single calorie. Then you're gonna probably last for a week and a half, right? You just wanna go, fuck your nutrition, forget everything, just go to the gym. And then if you stay consistent, because that's pretty easy in the beginning, you're just going to see, okay, it gets easier and easier and easier. And then you add in your nutrition, add in this and that and that and that. And over time, it's going to optimize automatically. And so I added this in a couple weeks ago. right? This kitchen timer, and I've been doing dropshipping for almost 2 years. So you don't need this from the beginning on. All right. Mistake number 2 is that I didn't understand that the results of doing the work are being delayed, right? And so the thing is, that's not really a problem because everyone knows that. The problem is that the results of not doing the work are also delayed. And that means that if you have momentum now, if you make a fuck ton of money now, right? Imagine you get all these notifications, Shopify, and you feel so rich. Like this insane, all your friends, oh my God, or like they're show them the revenue, and it feels so productive. You feel like you're on the top of the world, your ego is, through the roof. And basically that I have to tell you one thing to humble you, that's nothing. That's nothing. Because if you don't keep doing the work, if you don't keep actually improving, not only showing up, but actually improving and consistently optimizing your stuff, right? And improving your leverage and your skills and taking steps, making changes, hiring people. If you're not constantly doing that, even at a very high level, you have to keep doing that, then you're going to maintain. And there's no maintenance in business. There's just your business is either growing faster than, normal growth of every market, or it's dying. Right? Maintenance would technically be the same rate of growth as like the normal market is growing as well. So if you look at the e-com market growth percentages every year, if your business is exactly growing at that speed every year, then you're not growing. You're just maintaining, which is also not good because you have a lot of competition and a lot of big players out there who could just eat you up, right? So you need to grow more quickly than everyone else, and the results of not doing the work are delayed. So if we're thinking in smaller terms and like actual dropshipping, for example, let's say you scale your first product, it feels super productive. You refresh your dashboard, right? That's all the work you do. You have a Netflix tab open, you have a Shopify tab open, and every 5 minutes you switch over and you refresh and you see a bunch of new sales, and it feels so productive, but it's not. And you're going to feel that in 2 weeks. I promise you, in 2 weeks, when all the sales are gone, when everything's calmed down, when the revenue is not there anymore, you're going to ask yourself, what's going on? And then you're going to have the motivation to keep going. However, it's too late because momentum is the most important thing in e-com. Right? If you have momentum, then keep it up and keep the ball rolling, because it's much easier to keep the ball rolling than to just get the ball to roll, basically. And that's really an honest mistake that I've seen everyone make, and everyone I've coached personally, that also I've told everyone the same thing, right? But it's kind of like a thing which everyone has to go through themselves, because I've been told this by my mentor before I had my first winner, and it still happened to me. So I think it's like this is something which you'll probably make anyways, even though I tell you this now in this video. This is a mistake which I see everyone make because it feels productive and you can't do anything against that, right? Complacency is crazy. Laziness is the biggest enemy right now, especially if you are making money. Forget not making any money, okay? Then you have the motivation of like running away from something, right? But no, if you only chase the reward, then your motivation is going to be smaller than to actually run away from something. Like there's been this study or whatever that they've basically tracked the speed of how quickly a mouse runs if they placed like a block of cheese or whatever in front of them, and then they actually placed like a cat or the smell of a cat behind the mouse, and it was running like 3 times the speed. So like if you have something which you're running away from, let's say your sales are going down, let's say you're actually scared, oh my God, I'm going to keep making money. Yes, then you're going to start making ads, but by then it's too late. And so if something is working right now for you, then please click off this video and make new ads. Like that's what I'm on, my honest advice. All right, make new ads, make new concepts. Think about how can I grow my business, not only 10, 20%. Think about how can I grow my business double the size? What people do I need? How much, think what would Alex Ramosi do? Let's say he had the same amount of momentum that I had right now. Let's say he had the same resources but his skills. What would he do, right? And that's crazy thought itself. I don't want to glaze him too much, but he's very smart. And like think about what would he do? It's just as simple as that. And he would probably, he would hyperscale to 20 employees. He would hyperscale all of your ads. Like he would 100x your business by next week. So think about what would he do and what amount of work would you have to do that, and just do it. Like, what do you have to lose? You don't get impressed by your own Shopify dashboards. That's your biggest mistake that you can make. All right. Mistake number 3 is a funny one, which is reading books. And even though I love the books that I read, Hormozy once as well, The Ego is Your Enemy, Ryan Holiday, Atomic Habits, all these books, they're super good and they helped me with certain things. But for the last book I read, it was a very interesting eye-opening moment for me when I finished that book. And I read like 5, 6, and really not a lot, 5, 6 business books, right? Not a lot. And I caught myself thinking, okay, cool, what book can I read next? And like, how much money has that book? Like, the thing is, that also feels productive, whereas it's not, right? And I asked myself, okay, what book can I read next? Like, that's same thing as basically asking yourself, what Netflix series shows do I watch again? Do I watch next? It's the same thing, because it didn't make me more money. Like, reading about the thing isn't doing the thing. It's not. It's really not. And even though these things help you, maybe even potentially in the future, but the thing is, like, there's nothing which helps you as much as actually just sitting down and doing the fucking work. And that's what most people can't do. And reading books is unproductive because it's not making you more money actively. There are books out there which give you action steps in between, like, for example, every chapter that you can do, that you can close the book and you actually apply this in your business, can come back to the book. There are books like this. However, most books like normal business or self-help or productivity or all these books, they don't make you more money, right? And this is really when I just like closed the last page and I asked myself, like, cool, what can I read next? Have I made more money reading this? No. Like, why would I need another one? And know everything already. And the mistakes so far that I've made, that I'm revealing in this video, are mistakes that I've made by living in the practical world and actually executing, because people don't lack strategy, they lack execution. I'm truly convinced that it's only with ecom that, like, these videos are worth nothing if you don't apply them. Like, what I'm making, like, you can check every video on my channel. If you binge watch all the videos, it will make you $0. In fact, no video on YouTube will make you more than $0 if you don't apply that information and actually make the mistake again, potentially, so that you can learn from it. And so these books are cool because it makes sense reading them. And oftentimes, I'm not even going to talk about them, basically contradicting each other, but like, they're cool, they help you out, it feels productive because you're not watching Netflix, but at the end of the day, it's the same productivity level. It's the same if you were to watch Netflix. It's the same than if you were to like play video games. It's not actually productive. It doesn't make you more money at all, right? It doesn't make you feel any better also, because it just highlights oftentimes what you're doing wrong, right? So it's like of course that's a good thing, yeah, right? You should optimize it, but I've seen that most people that read books actually do not read books in order to apply that information, which is very interesting. I also caught myself doing that. That's why I'm saying it. I'm not shitting on anyone doing that. It's that instead of actually reading books to actually have something which I can then for the next year apply, and I don't need another book because I'm focused on like applying all the knowledge in this book like for a year straight. Like, if you read 10 books, of course, like if you read 10 books within like 2 months, or let's say a year even, how do you want to execute 10 books? Like, look at how thick a book is. How do you want to execute 10 of these in a year? Like, if you actually wanted to apply the information and learn from it and actually do it, then you'd probably be like focused for one of these books for the rest of your life, or like 5 years. And you don't need another book every month. It's not actually productive. And just be aware, if you want to, if that's like the thing that makes you fall asleep at night, do it. Right? I'm not here to, talk bad about books, talk shit about books, but it's not going to make you more money. It just wants you to be aware of it. All right. Cool. Number 4 is I was anxious. And this is a very interesting one because I've never talked about this on YouTube. However, if you're consuming too much content, like you are, because you're also on this video, I know, it's gotta be real. And I know that you're just like watching all these other YouTubers too, because I've been there. Again, this is only something which I can tell you because I have personally been there and I've done that. And so I was anxious because all these gurus and all these videos make you feel bad and actually, give you kind of a fear of missing out. Because of course, those videos that you're used to watching are designed to make you buy their mentorship, make you buy their video course, join some kind of paid community. Like, you have to always imagine like that's the purpose of that video, which is fine. Like, I'm making the videos myself to make more money. Like, of course I am, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the thing is, they make you actively have this fear of missing out. And if you're then not actually buying their mentorship, then you're going to keep having that fear of missing out and jump from mentored or like from video to video to video, and everyone's going to show you insanely high numbers. That's partly the reason why I never show any numbers. I have shown numbers in the past, don't do it anymore. Believe it or not, that's what I'm going to say about this. And so I was anxious because I always ask myself, like, okay, how can I reach the next level? And they were 100 levels ahead of me, right? And you have to understand that before you can hit your first 1K day, you have to hit your first $100 day. And before you hit your first $100 day, you have to reach your first sale, right? And before your first sale, you might have to reach your first 1% click-through rate, right? And then you're going to optimize step by step by step by step by step. And everyone learns at a different speed. But if you're presented with the same situation and you don't change your behavior, then you have not learned. And so you go step by step of like starting at the first sale, then you have your first $100 day, then you have the first $500 day, which is, different already. Then you have your first 1K day, 2K day, 3K day, 5K day, 10K day. Like, all these steps are very different from each other, very different, and they take different amounts of skill and different amounts of information to get it done. But if you watch videos of people doing 100K days like all the time, and you're not even working because you're like you watch these videos and with open mouth and like, oh my God, how is this person making so much money? Now, of course you're gonna feel shit about yourself. Like, you're comparing yourself to people that have been doing it for years and you're just starting out. There's nothing wrong with being a beginner. Everyone was a beginner once. Do you think those guys, do you think me started at making 10K a day? Hell no. Bro, I was not making a single sale for like 6 months. I was slower than most people that actually get into this business. Like, I've seen people get into this within 2 months find a winner. I've seen it. Have seen people try for years and haven't made it, right? There's very different kind of, it's not really dependent on how intelligent you are. It's just honestly dependent on how much you're able and willing to learn from not only your own, but other people's mistakes as well, right? And so, if you don't want to feel anxious, if you don't want to have that fear of missing out anymore, then the craziest action step you're going to get in this video is to just stop watching these guru videos. Like, stop being flexed on. Like, that's the same as, consuming that kind of content. Like, you don't want to do that, because these videos are designed to, either make you buy their stuff, or really just if they're like genuinely so insecure to actually flex on you. But there's no other purposes than these two. These videos are usually not only meant to help you out, right? Also, the one which you're watching right now, I also make videos to make more. Every YouTuber on ecom makes YouTube videos to make money. All right, just to let you know there. Mistake number 5 is that my creative volume was not on point. And I didn't realize this until I was like pretty advanced already. It's that hit rates are always going to be low. Even if you're very skilled, if you're very good at making ads, advertising, if you're a very good marketer in general, the best marketers are just the ones which overspend the most on creative testing. It's as simple as that. Like volume negates luck every single time. And so someone who is a very good marketer who only tests 3 creatives versus a complete beginner who tests 500, I'm pretty confident that the beginner who tests 500 creatives is going to outscale, outbid, and just beat the marketer which tests with 3. I'm 100% convinced. And so of course it's about the skills. Of course it's important that you improve your hit rate, that you keep consistently optimizing your stuff and tracking every metric possible. But it's also super important to just put in a fuck ton of input, right? Because in the beginning, especially if your leverage is super low, the only thing you do have is volume, is time, right? Because work or your outputs, how much money you make comes down to volume times leverage. Leverage is your skill set, your people, your money, all these things are leverage, right? So if you have these, you make more for doing one set of work, for example, right? Whatever time frame you might choose. Let's say we look at an hourly basis. If you have a low leverage, you're going to make like 10, 20 bucks per hour. Then what's going to happen is, what you do have is a lot of time at that rate, right? So you throw up the volume, you're also going to make more money. Makes sense. Then once you do have better skills, you have first VA who's kind of doing the low leverage stuff, making like 100, 200 an hour, right? Now you could put down your volume and still make the same amount of money as before, or you keep the volume extremely high and make so much more money than before, right? So this is what you have to do. And especially with creatives, like this is a volume game. It's sales basically. It's a numbers game. Like in sales, my brother taught me, it's like, let's say you hop off 5 sales calls and everyone has told you to fuck off. Like then you do another one, then you do another 500, right? It's a numbers game. If you tested 100 ads and nothing worked, then you test another 100. And guess what? Then you test another 100. Like people don't care. Just win. Just win. You're doing it for yourself. You don't make that to impress anyone. You don't make these ads to impress someone, to post on your Instagram story. I've seen everything, trust me. I've been around, I've seen a lot of weird people get into ecom. You have to put up your volume. And a lot of businesses die because they're growing too slow. Technically, they are increasing their annual revenue, but they're not growing quickly enough. So whatever leverage you're at, right? Whether it's complete beginner, obviously that as well, but whether you have Alex Ramosi leverage, you still have to throw up that volume like crazy. You have to have the craziest volume, always maintain that, right? Because there's input momentum and there's output momentum, obviously. And so if you have output momentum, you should keep that, try to actually improve that, whatever. But your input momentum is obviously something which you can directly control today. You can influence that today. Now, what you do, right? So it doesn't come down to honestly how much leverage you have, because if you keep showing up, if you keep putting in the work, if you keep improving, then you're going to build that momentum eventually, that output momentum. You just have to maintain that input momentum. And that is the only person that is depending on is you. Like no one else cares. I promise you that. Like no one will give a shit. And so this is like in every business, this is the case. However, especially in e-com and dropshipping, I've seen that people who like actually make the most amount of ads, test the most amount of content, or just make the most amount of money, right? And so like that is then leverage of how you get that content. Do you have an in-house marketing team? Do you have a media buyer that's doing all the stuff for you, right? Or do you everything yourself? Are you doing outreach to UGC? Do you even have UGC creators? Like, are you ripping content and are you doing all of that stuff on your own all day long? Okay, fair. You have low leverage, right? Maybe you have some skills. You know how to make good ads, but you're doing all that on your own. You have no system in place. You're actually just ripping content. And then, if you do so much of that you're going to make money. Of course you are, right? But let's say you hire someone who's doing all your creatives, right? So he's a generalist, right? He reaches out to all your creators. He gets the content, he optimizes revisions, whatever you teach him, obviously, how to do it. He edits it. He designs image ads. He even uploads the ads and media buys for you on your ad accounts across all platforms. Like, do you know how much time that would save you? It's insane, right? It's insane. And you could focus on so much more important things than advertising. Because of course, under a specific, number, there's just like, there's this person who does advertising, and then you can focus on product development, which should be your goal, right? So product development is like a thing which is probably most of the founder's task. And then later on, you're just going to hire a bunch of people, because if you can hire one person that's doing this marketing stuff for you, you can hire 10 and you would 10x your business. And then at some point, you're just going to work on the business, manage the people, and not in the business, right? That's what you shouldn't want to get at. Mistake number 6 that I made is I network too much. And this is a very funny one, because usually I say that networking is the best thing ever, and it is. It truly is. However, in e-com and dropshipping specifically, I've seen a lot of these self-help therapy session groups where it's just basically, about like stealing other people's products and like basically being happy that other people are as unsuccessful as yourself. And if you're in such a group, then I have a strong suggestion to leave. And it's like again, this is a group where this is thing where like I don't shit on anyone doing this, because I've been there myself. Like, I've been in groups. I'm not gonna drop names, but I've been in groups or networks full of people that just like basically just were there to rip other people's content, to rip other people's products. Especially, I also got kicked out of a group once because I didn't share the product I was selling. Very interesting story. And just like these self-help groups, like it's almost like a therapy session where people just share how sad and unsuccessful they are, and it makes you feel better because, oh, okay, suddenly no guru that's like completely successful. That lowers your standards, and usually when you compare yourself to people who make less money, you're gonna adapt to that, because I've changed my mind of like, you're the product of the 5 closest people to you, but you're actually the product of the 5 people that you compare yourself to the most, or that you want to impress the most. And if you compare yourself constantly and want to impress like losers, then you're going to be the next loser. That's how it is. And if you're in these Discord groups where people just like cry all day long of how they don't make money, you're going to be the next one. And of course you are. Like, it's not on you, it's not your fault. Of course, like, you could leave that group, and you should. Like, if I called you out, if you feel like this is something which you do, then just leave that group, because it's not going to actually help you. Like, you're not going to get the value that you're looking for, because someone who is scaling a product like I was, you're just going to get kicked out of that group. And like, if you don't share your product, and if you do share your product, they're all going to run it up. They're all going to run your product. And this is such a e-com or dropshipping specific thing, and there's so many weird people in e-com. Like, this has less to do with like networking too much. There's just so many strange, weird people, and this is like a very dropshipping specific. A lot of little weirdos here, and this is why I get why the dropshipping narrative and the whole image of e-com is so bad. I do understand it, because it really is, right? It's really a weird thing, full of weirdos, full of dickheads that make a lot of money. It's how it is, right? So yeah, mistake number 7, I thought I knew everything after getting my first mentor. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean by this that I thought it was, when I got my mentor, right, I thought that it was only about information that I was missing. Right? I thought that it was pieces of information and a framework and actually how I apply something that I was missing, but it wasn't. It was actually just that the biggest learning I've had from my mentor is that he actually just reminded me that it's about skills instead of strategy. He reminded me, and I'm giving it to you for free. Like, I'm telling you, it's about skills. It's not about the strategy. You don't lack information. Nothing. Like with that information you have, I'm strongly assuming if this is not the first dropshipping video you ever watch, I strongly, highly assume that like you already know more than enough that you could make 30K a month. Like you know how it's done. You either just don't do enough, or you just don't do enough. No, there's nothing else really. You just don't do enough. Like it's not about the information. It's actually about applying it, and it's all about the skills. And this is where you want to get at. This is when you shift your mindset towards. And essentially, I have nothing else to say about this. Like this is really, there's no shortcuts. I talked to some people who asked me, you know, how do I stick to it? How do I keep improving my leverage? Like, how do I figure it out, right? And there's no tricks. There's not this little quick tip that you're looking for. There's no such thing. You just have to keep showing up. This is the hard part. You just have to keep showing up, keep improving constantly, and being consistent, right? If you show up for a year straight, you're gonna ask yourself, what happened to my life? Like you're gonna watch it turn around, right? Every single month. So you have to stay consistent. You have to keep focusing on improving your skill set, not your information. I'm gonna say that again, you don't lack any piece of information. And in fact, if you do get some information that you find, oh my God, this is so good, right? This is what I need. It's not going to help you if you don't have the skills to apply it, right? Videos, again, these videos are worth zero, nothing if you don't apply them. So yeah, watch one video a month maybe if you really have to because you're so addicted, and then apply everything you've learned. That's how you actually make money, okay? Mistake number eight is I was alone. So I have a brother and we started ecom together, and then funny story is he was basically in sales before. We're both kind of doing our thing there. I was doing nothing really. My first business model was ecom. His first business model was sales way before we even started. Then he wanted to start his own ecom project once he did have some capital already saved up. And then he just asked me if I want to join him, right? It was a very smart decision. Obviously, I'm saying that not because I'm such a smart guy, but because, you know, every time that you can leverage someone else's time, it's a good idea. It's a good decision to make. So he asked me, we started out together, and it kind of shifted towards me doing ecom and him kind of going back to sales, which is fine. Like he still makes a shit ton of money, more than back then, in sales. And sales is a great opportunity to make money. I'm not saying that. It's just that for a longer period of time, especially when I was like on the transition of like not making it, finally making some money, I was alone. Like my brother didn't really work on our ecom stores specifically. He was working harder than me. I'm not saying he didn't work, but like he didn't work on our ecom stores specifically. Like I was making the ads. I was, optimizing the revenue per visitor. I was doing product research, market research. I was doing that kind of stuff, right? Which is essentially the work. So what I have to say about that is I was alone. And then we started outsourcing. So we started, VA here, employee there, and then we actually, got together and leveraged our skills, because now our business models are also kind of crossing each other, which is cool. And now we're actually working together. And if you have an opportunity to leverage someone else's time for your business, then do it, because it's the smartest decision you can every time make, right? I've noticed this when I was like, first time I outsourced a batch of creatives. I didn't do anything. Like I focused on one task only, and I even forgot that I outsourced this. And then I got an email full of like 20 creatives. I'm like, fuck, this is sick. Like I can actually pay other people so that they do work for me. And obviously, this is how business work. This is how you outsource things, of course. But I wasn't aware of this. And I think on dropshipping YouTube and on Guru Ecom YouTube, this isn't mentioned enough. Like you should always be looking forward to outsource and work together. And again, you're playing by rules that do not exist. Most people play by rules and they think they have to make it on their own before they start to outsource. While that is true that you have to learn the skills yourself, why don't you just learn the skills with someone that also hasn't got them down yet? one thing which I'm going to say about partners is every time you start to partner up, or actually if someone offers you a partnership in a business, right? Business idea, whatever, they should have something which you don't. So for example, they should have money that you don't have, or they should have some type of skill or experience, and obviously the more the better of these, right? So that you do partner up with them. Because a lot of times people who have nothing will want to partner up with you, and I wouldn't do that at all, right? If someone doesn't have money, doesn't have skills, is just there to take your profits, then that's not a good partnership, right? Even if he's your friend. Like, I'm gonna say that very honestly, friendship and like that kind of stuff and business are two different things. And you have to understand that. You have to keep them separate oftentimes. And as much as you love the other person, you cannot partner up with someone that is just there to take your money and has low leverage, has no money, can't do anything productive, and you're so much better. Like, this is not, again, this sounds so weird when I say this, but you get what I mean, right? And so, yeah, that was the biggest mistake. I was alone, right? Mistake number 9 is I had low standards. And I talked about this in one of my previous videos already. But basically, when I was talking to my mentor, or was talking to in these self-help ecom groups, we usually said like, oh, like imagine we make 3K, like 3K, like with a full-time job, like crazy, like 5K a month, like insane. Like I only want 5K a month, you know? But when I did get there to 5K a month or to 3K a month, and I realized how much work it was to get from 0 to 1 in ecom, like I thought, fuck no, that's all I want. Like, if you just want 3K a month, then please do not get into ecom. I want to make this very clear. You're going to be much happier, have a much better life if you do not get into ecom, if you have a full-time job. Like, if you don't thrive for more, then why are you doing this anyways in the first place? And your standards have to change. Like, the second that someone from my business has higher standards than myself, then he's a better leader than I am. And I'm happy to sell my business to him. Right? Because what's best for the business is always the highest standards, input-wise and output-wise. And so you have to be hard on people and employees sometimes, right? And when I was making these 5K or 3K, and I actually realized, holy shit, this took a fuck ton of work. So much more work than just a full-time job. I realized, okay, I want more than this. I deserve more than this for the work that I put in. So you're going to thrive for more. You're going to want to reach a 10K profit a month. And then you're going to want to reach your 100K profit a month. And I think it's never going to stop. I think it is never. It's always different levels of work that it takes to get there. And I always try to remind myself it's never going to get harder than in the beginning, because it isn't. Because, like, also next Alex Ramosi quote, but like it's in the beginning, first fight is just you with a stick against a bear. That's arguably the hardest fight. Of course, later on, your enemies are going to get bigger, which is like, let's say you want to have like a crazy dragon as your enemy. But if you have 6 nations supporting you and 2 nuclear bombs, like, then it's going to get so much easier for you to beat that dragon, right? So that first fight where it's just a bear, but it's just you with a stick, is arguably the hardest one. So it's never going to get harder than now, right? Raise your standards. Very important, because this is going to change your life. Mistake number 10 is something which I already talked about kind of, is time management. So you have to plan out your days. It's just as simple as that. If you do not plan out your days, basically, then you're making a big mistake. And other people who do are just going to beat you like completely. They're going to outbid you, outscale you. They're going to take all the profits that you don't take in for yourself. And so you have to start managing your time, even if it's annoying. And even if you do want to be unproductive sometimes, you're going to realize once you actually start planning your days, like, people say this all the time, I want to work so hard, I'm ready to work so hard, they just don't know what to work on. Like, plan out your day once. And then you're going to realize if you actually meant that seriously, if you want to put in the work, right? Because then if you plan out your work day, and let's say it's a 14-hour work day, and then you're at hour 9, and you ask, fuck, like, I have 5 more hours? Yes, and you keep doing it, and you keep sticking to the plan. And then I'm going to say one thing. Doing that for one day is nothing. Doing that for 5 years is something. So it's very hard. And you should approach running a business, as something which is realistically going to be very difficult, and you're going to fail a bunch of times, and you're going to have to stand back up, and oftentimes it's going to be no one but you, again and again and again and again and again. You're going to be alone until you actually have the kind of leverage that people want to be around you. And that's what I've seen in business. It's like when you start making money, it's all these people come up to you, dude, I have a business idea. Like, fuck off. Like, bro, you don't have a business idea. You have nothing, right? Business idea itself is like, the word idea is worth nothing if you don't execute it. In fact, like, the first business is always people trying to gatekeep their crazy idea. Second time is they just don't care. They just want to make money somehow, right? And like they realize that these reinventing the wheel kinds of businesses, if you're a beginner, they don't work. Obviously, if you're a multi-millionaire and you have 10 years of business experience, that you can start to pioneer stuff. I'm not talking specifically about dropshipping here. I'm talking about like actual companies, actual vehicles to get to the next point of leverage, like stuff that you can exit for 9 figures, like a software company, for example. Like, if you want to start that kind of stuff and actually find a solution for something that is unsolved, there's an unsolved problem, those are the things that are actually going to make you insane amounts of money. Like, I want to make this very clear. E-com is a very good vehicle to make good money. But if you want to make 9 figures one day or 10 figures, like, it's not going to be, e-com is not going to be your main vehicle anymore. Like, a perfectly executed e-com brand usually sells for like 7 to 8 figures, right? So, and especially when we're talking 8 figures, it's in the lower 8 figs. And of course, that's crazy money. Like, don't get me wrong, but if you have higher goals, higher standards, if you're looking to be a billionaire or something, e-com is not going to be the one thing that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, realistically, okay? This is what I want you to understand. Mistake number 11, and this is going to be, like, these last 2 mistakes are basically, I'm going to tell you what I did in the beginning, and just to kind of sum it up, because I think these are the most important ones, and you have to focus on these. So mistake number 11 is I didn't learn from my own mistakes. And I've seen a lot of times people make the same mistakes over and over again. They test the same shit products. They don't actually understand or try to understand and figure out why the last test failed. And obviously, if you don't know why the last test failed, then chances are your next test is going to fail too. So I was making documents about like 5-page Google Docs about like why my product failed, right? And that's also something which my mentor made me do. I learned to figure out myself on my own why stuff fails. And all you have to do is to not make those mistakes again. Because if you're aware of this, then it's a lot easier to not make the same mistakes again. Obviously, if you don't understand why something didn't work, then you don't know what mistakes not to make again, right? So learn from your mistakes, and this is a very high leverage thing that you can do. However, mistake number 12, which is the highest leverage thing that you can do, that's also what I didn't do in the beginning, is I didn't learn from other people's mistakes. And that's what you basically get when you invest in a mentor, right? Because a mentor has more experience than you, makes more money than you, and is just able to look over your stuff and to point you into the right direction, because he's been there and he's made the mistakes himself, or he's also learned from other people not to make those mistakes, right? And you saying that you're going to make all the mistakes on your own, okay, fair enough. However, the reason why I invested in a mentor, and I still invest in mentors, and I will never stop investing in skills and knowledge, is that like it's going to be very expensive for you if you want to make it on your own. If you're going to be very time consuming, it's still going to be expensive and time consuming. You just save so much time. Like always when people tell me, I'm not going to get a mentor because like I want to save money, I want to save time. You're not saving shit. You're losing it. Your ego is holding you back, my friend. All right. With that being said, I want to end off this video. Thank you so much for giving me your most valuable and important assets, which are your time and your attention. And with that being said, guys, I wish you a fantastic day.